Hey guys, so I am going to start doing something that means a lot to me. Lately, my main focus in my craft is, I'm trying to mess with the camera, plant spirits. I work with plants and herbs and the spirits with everything. I do daily devotions to them. Plants and their spirits, they mean a lot to me. So I also been reading this book. If you haven't gotten this book, you need to get it. This is an amazing book. It's by Harold Roth. And if you don't know who he is, you need to look him up. He's amazing. This book is amazing. His website is Alchemy Works. He's wonderful. He sells plants and seeds too. So he's not just, he has everything. He goes into lore. He goes into how to care for them. Most books you'll either find how to take care of a plant or their lore. This is literally a mix of both. It goes through his 13 essential plants and herbs for witchcraft. How to care for them, how to grow them from seeds, how to grow them from sprouts, what to do during the winter months. It's amazing. So, sorry. So as I was reading this book, it really made me start thinking, what are my 13 plants that relate to me? What are my 13 witchcraft plants that mean a lot to me? And I really started thinking, that is so important. My 13 plants, 13 already in itself is a magical number, which we all know. It's a very, 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 very much related number to the craft. So, for me to have my own essential 13 plants, and I'm sure if I really sat down and thought about it, there would be way more than 13 plants that I use consistently. Way more. But the most important 13 that correlate to me and my needs. So I started to make a list. And as I'm making this list, I thought it was a really good idea to make videos on it. So for the next couple months, weeks, I don't know exactly if I'm going to do them weekly, bi-weekly, or probably sooner than that, because then it's going to take a really long time to get all these videos up. Probably maybe 2 videos a week, 1 video every week and a half, something like that. So, and if you guys make a list too, I think that would be a great idea. If we all got together, and even if we all put it out there and we did not really like I guess you could say it's one of those quizzes, or not a quiz, but you know what I'm talking about, the test things that everyone puts out on YouTube. I don't know why my mind's completely going blank right now. I've been at work all day. I'm exhausted. So, for the first one of the most important plants to me, I know this is going to be very cliche, and it's probably one of the most important plants to most witches. This is a plant I actually grow. I grow it in my garden. Right now, she's not doing that well. I don't know if it's necessarily the change in weather, or because it's been raining a lot lately, which I do feel is a very strong reason why maybe she's starting to lose a lot of her leaves. But I'm actually going to bring her in. And if you didn't notice, it's the first plant on the cover of this book. So, my number one witchcraft plant that I work with the spirit of this plant a lot. This has been a plant that has drawn me in. I'm so sorry. This has been a plant that has drawn me in since early childhood. Just hearing the name of this plant drew me into magic and witchcraft. And this was before Harry Potter. This was before Mandrake became a known herb in the normal mortal society as a witchcraft herb. This was way before Mandrake was as soon as you heard that, you automatically thought witch. It has always had some sort of deep, dark correlation to magic and sorcery within it for me. So, my number one herb, my herb that I'm going to start off with, is Mandrake. I'm so sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. Mandrake is a very, very tough herb. It's a very tough plant to grow. I started growing mine from seeds. I started them out in water, just like they, even in his book he talks about putting them in water, putting them in the fridge, and letting them germinate like that for a little bit. They're probably not going to fully germinate, obviously, in the water. And after I did that, I put them in pellets, out of the pellets. They were in pellets in the window for maybe a couple days, and I don't know, I just got this feeling like maybe they still need to go back in the fridge. So, I put them back in the fridge for about another week or so, left them in there, not in the freezer, just in the fridge. And yes, the pellets, it was the Jiffy pellets. They were wet, obviously, but you don't want them to be soaking. You don't want them to be soppy and soggy. You just want them to be wet enough. And I put them in there. After about a week or so, maybe 2, I planted them. I put them outside in my garden, and I don't plant them in the ground either. I plant them in a big pot. The pot I have is fairly small. I want to say it's maybe this, maybe a little bit smaller than that. It's like that long, tall. So I actually do need to transplant them shortly, and then I'm going to bring them inside for the winter. So I've had them out there, and I had 2 small plants, and the one small plant started to lose its leaves a while ago, but it had 1 leaf left. So I still felt a connection. I still felt the energy there. I didn't feel like it was dead. The other plant was flourishing. I mean, it has had at least 8 leaves, but a little while ago, it started to lose a couple of the leaves. And now, again, it's starting to lose some of the leaves again. So I'm wondering if it is mainly because of the rain. It has rained a lot here lately, and Mandrake is a really tough herb. Like, it's a tough plant. It likes to have rocky soil. It likes to have a little bit of that rocky hardness. It doesn't need water constantly. And it likes sunlight, and it likes dry weather, but at the same time, it doesn't. It can't be too dry. It can't be completely desert dry all the time, because then it'll die. But it obviously can't be rainforest wet, or it'll die as well. You need to have that perfect medium with Mandrake. And that is a long process that I have been working towards for a couple months. Trying to get it down, trying to do it perfect, trying to get it right for this plant and for this spirit. Through this time, I feel like I've grown a huge connection with the Mandrake. It is a plant that, like I said, I've already had a connection with, but it has gotten a lot stronger. I speak to her. I talk to her every morning, every night. I say good morning. I say good night. I give her offerings. I come to her and I call her to my altar. I have dreams about her. I see her. I do alignments and rituals to work towards her. Like I mentioned before, the tradition that I am in, we work with plant spirits strongly. That's not something that I will get into here, obviously, because it is per tradition only. But it means a lot to me. So, Mandrake has its own specific meanings to me, which I'm sure it has a lot. These will correlate with a lot of people when it comes to Mandrake. And I'm going to go into detail on why this means what they mean to me. So, one of the first things that Mandrake does mean to me, it's a sorceress herb. It is a sorcerer's plant. A lot of the times, back in medieval times, they would take the roots and witches would hold them in pouches to keep a connection with the underworld. They would keep a connection with the witches who have passed. That's what it means to me, mainly. It is a witch's plant. It is a sorceress root. It is a connection to those witches who have passed on. A connection to the witches who have passed beyond the veil into the other realms. It is the main thing that I think of when I think of ancestral connection, when I think of calling upon the witches of the old. It is one of the plants, the main plants that I will have with me at all times during those types of workings, because it has such a strong connection with the underworld. It is a pure underworld plant. Your plant could lose all of its leaves, completely gone. That doesn't mean it's dead, not even close. The main source of the Mandrake is underneath. It is an underworld plant. The main source of its vitality, where it grows, where it nurtures itself. I can't even speak English. Nurtures, sorry. Everything is underneath. It's underneath the ground. It draws that essence from the underworld. It is a pure underworld plant. So it could be completely gone and dead looking on top. But underneath it's flourishing. Underneath it has that strong connection. Underneath it is completely vibrant. That is a pure underworld plant. That root has such a connection and strong will underneath there. How could you honestly not immediately when you see it, be able to tap into it. As soon as I see it, as soon as I hear it, as soon as I feel it and I smell it, I just get into this phase where I just completely let go. And I'm so focused on the underworld, so focused on the witches who have passed. This plant has been involved in so many workings for so many witches for so long. Just that in itself, it automatically draws a connection. Just that. Just the fact that it's been through so much with witches for such a long time. That, to me, makes it a witchcraft root. So, for that, with me, you could put it in a pouch. You could put it in a gree-gree, a mojo bag. You could put it in a poppet. You could leave it under your pillow. You could keep it as a talisman, an amulet. I mean, you could dry it out. There's millions of things that you could do with the roots. For this aspect of being a witch's herb, a root to connect to the witches and the ancestors. Like on Sabbaths, like Samhain. I mean, you could keep it with you during your rituals. You could call on the spirit of the plant. You could leave offerings and give offerings to it of red wine. Mandrake, I'm about to go into this as well, but it's very much connected with Friday. You could use it on a Friday. You could dig it up, give its offerings, call to the spirit, and that's how you could bring it and dry it. You could start that process on a Friday. And then on times like Fridays and the full moon, someone else says this too. It's Demigary in traditional traditional Cornish Book of Ways. She speaks about the Mandrake spirit as well, and her little section on it. I don't have the actual book. I have the audiobook. Thank you, Melissa. I love you. If you're watching, I listen to that probably every day. But she talks about it in there as well. Bathing it in red wine on like Fridays and the full moon to connect with the Mandrake spirit. Those are all wonderful things that you can do to connect with the spirit of this plant. So, oh my God, it's already 12 minutes. Okay, so that's some things that I do when I want to connect with the witches of the old, my ancestors, wherein I really think about it being a sorceress herb, a sorceress root. Other connections. Some of the mainstream connections I've noticed with Mandrake are love, sexuality, lust, things like that, which I definitely understand. It has a huge connection with Aphrodite. The apples of the Mandrake have this sweet sweat smell. Unfortunately, I have not yet been able to smell that myself. I'm going off of descriptions from other people. Harold Roth talks about it in his book. Gemma Gary talks about it in her book. Millions of forums online talk about it. But it's known to have this musky, sweet smell of a sweet sort of sweat. It's supposed to be such a beautiful smell and so strong that it's very lustworthy. It brings apart a sexual part of nature within yourself. And I will say, when I've connected with the spirit of the Mandrake, I feel a very sexual vibe from her. It's a very potent sexual sense of self. And not necessarily, I mean, it is kind of personal, so I'm probably not going to go too much into it. But for me, when I do meet with her, it's not always necessarily sexuality towards another person or sexuality like needing to be in that moment with somebody else or having sex with anybody else. It's more of sexuality towards myself, being okay and loving myself. It's, I guess, because I've struggled with issues of that nature for such a long time, that when she comes to me, she's not worried about helping me find someone else. I'm married. Like, I don't need anybody. But I really have always had a problem with loving myself, caring for myself, and knowing that I am beautiful. And it's been an issue of mine since as far as I can remember. So when she is with me, when I speak to her spirit, she helps me realize that. She helps me acknowledge that. And she brings that sexuality out of me, to know that I am a sexual, beautiful being, because we all are. And that's something that's very, very important to me when I work with her. It's a feeling like no other, to know that she is here to help guide me. And I I'm at a loss for words when I talk about it, because the feeling I get when she comes to me, when I have that experience with her, is a beautiful experience, and it's a beautiful personal experience. So that's probably all I'm going to get to with that one. So another thing also, we talked about the sorcerer's herb, we talked about love, we talked about sex. Sex, though, ways to use it for sex and love. You can connect to Aphrodite with that herb. With the root, it has a strong connection. The apples has a strong connection with Aphrodite as well. Like I said, the sweet smelling offerings, you can use it for an Aphrodite ritual. You can use it from Aphrodite altar, seeds of the actual mandrake fruit. You can use it in love potions, love oils. There's actually a book I have by Joanna Dunwich, I think it is. It's a book on potion making, and it talks about using mandrake as a tea, using mandrake as a love and sexual binding tea. If you don't know what you're doing, I would highly, highly, highly recommend not doing that if you don't know what you're doing. If you do know what you're doing and you work with mandrake all the time and you drink it consistently, more power to you. But if you don't, it is poisonous and you can get very, very, very sick. So I would strongly advise do not doing that if you're not knowledgeable in that aspect. Even when you're working with the plant and the spirit, you need to have a strong sense of respect with any plant spirit. It doesn't matter if it's fucking lettuce or belladonna. You need to have a sense of respect, a sense of mutual fear and respect for any plant spirit. You need to realize that plants, they can go on without us. They have flourished without us. We are the reasons why they have issues. We are the reasons why they are mostly gone, why they're extinct. So having that sense of a respect and a fear of what can turn into a very dangerous situation. I'm not saying be afraid of the plant spirit. I'm not saying bring out a sense of fear, because if you're consistently worried about being afraid, you're not going to have a beautiful experience. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying, okay, I'll use a better analogy. I work with animals. I work at a vet hospital, and sometimes we get some very, 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 very dangerous dogs. We get very dangerous animals in there all the time, who don't like people, who don't like to be touched, who don't like to go near us. So when we go near them and we know, oh my God, they could rip our throats out with one bite, there is a sense of mutual fear and respect there. We're not shivering in the corner, afraid, not able to do our job. But we have a sense of respect knowing that this can turn into a very dangerous situation, a very harmful situation to us, other people, and them. So, before you work with any plant spirit, please make sure you have that respect. Please. Because it will go bad very quickly. So, love. You can use the root, dry it, and you can even carve like different runes and symbols and meanings that mean to love for you. Like if you're in a marriage, you can dry the root. You can use a little bit of orris root, some dried orange peels, some rose flowers, make a powder of it and mix it up onto the mandrake root. You can anoint it with the chuli oil and then use a little bit of powder, put your intention into it, carve a little bit of runes and whatever kind of symbols that mean happy marriage, love to you, whatever it may be, and hang it up over your bedpost. Sorry, I'm pointing that way because that's my bed. Hang it up over your bed, where you and your loved one, where you and your soulmate, whoever you lay down in a bed with at night, lay there every single night. That could be your own little amulet for love, for happy marriage. I mean, you can use that same sort of amulet even if you don't have a marriage. You could keep it with you in your purse, in a baggie, in a mojo, like I said earlier, in a gree bag. You can make a love poppet. I mean, you can do anything. Really, anything can be done with any plant, any herb, as long as you put your mind to it. It really, really can. So, other things that strongly, to me, another one is protection. Mandrake, we all know the lore of the mandrake plant. How, in the old days, what they would do is the hunters and the farmers, they would use their dogs, or hunting dogs, to grab the mandrake by a rope, and then they would taunt the dog with a stick or food or whatever, throw it, and make the dog chase it. As the dog was chasing it, it would draw the mandrake up out of here, and the mandrake would let out this deep, blood-curdling scream. And of course, as it would scream, it would kill the dog. So, that to me tells me not only were those guys assholes, they were willing to sacrifice their family pet or their worker, because I guess I'm seeing if they were more of a hunting dog, that obviously wasn't a pet to them. It was more of they were a worker that they paid. So, but that says to me, the Mandrake obviously has a very strong sense of protection for itself. Even though most of that lore was most likely made up because a lot of the people who were making the Mandrake amulets and selling it to people, they didn't want other people digging them up themselves, so they instilled some kind of fear in them before they dug them up, so then they could save all the money for themselves. That's most likely where that lore came from. But either way, Mandrake, to me, it has a strong sense of protection. Anything, like I said, with runes. You can dry it out, put your intention into it, keep it in a baggie. You could dry it out, put it under your pillow. You could break it up, take it and make a little protection powder to go around your house.